And we are live. Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi,
So much
everybody.
excitement. I think we still have people to join, so probably it
Yeah.
will take a few minutes, a few seconds, a few minutes, or maybe more.
Yeah, that's fine. We can wait a little bit. How are you, Ashwini?
Yes, very well. Thank you so much. How are
Yeah.
you?
I'm good. I'm coming to Mumbai tomorrow, so I'm very
Hey,
excited about all the workshops we're going to be doing together.
so am
I'm
I.
currently in transit. Yeah, it's going to be good. And I feel like because I've traveled from Malaysia, from Melbourne. I'm currently in Malaysia. I'm coming to Mumbai, and the one thing I can see everywhere I've gone is it's really wet everywhere. Like the whole world, there's so much rain everywhere I've gone, and I can really see how much that has affected people. Like just in what they're doing every day, in what they're eating, in their health. Like there's just so much damp everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Is Bombay quite wet still?
It's Bombay, yes, and it's very
Yeah.
humid too because this is the time we
Yeah.
transition a bit from
Mm,
the July, August is more of those heavy showers, too much rains, and slowly
yeah.
as we near September, it starts getting a little hot, the month of Bhadrapad,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
starting today.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
yes,
It's the
the
same
weather
in
is
Melbourne.
changing.
Yeah. Mm. I think in Melbourne, this is August is the end of the winter. So it's late
Right.
winter when I think, yeah, months of like really cold, heavy weather is finally starting to lift. But I think as the
Yes.
spring comes, the weather changes, but there's still a lot of that heaviness left over. And from the Ayurvedic point of view, actually, late winter and early spring are a very important time because as the weather starts to shift and the water starts to recede, it's very
Right.
important to clear the body of any excess water and congestion.
Right.
Otherwise, your immune system tends to suffer. So, yeah,
Wow, and we have people joining in. So please say a hi. Please drop your name and say a hello. We are so looking forward to seeing you all. And because we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Facebook group, it
yeah,
will be a
that's
little
right.
difficult for us to know who is joining from where. So would
Yeah,
really appreciate, both of us would appreciate if you drop in your name and drop a hello. Come on,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Tell us where you're coming from and we'll look into the weather
Yes.
over there as well. I'll be going through 3 countries in the next day. So
Wow.
it's been quite a big transition in the weather as well. Um, but maybe as people are joining, especially because I think there a lot of them are joining via your groups, I'll introduce myself.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so my name is Danya, and I'm an Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle consultant. I basically came to Ayurveda about 5 years ago because of my own health issues, and which I had been struggling with for many, many years. And I had tried lots of different diets, including fasting and all sorts of things. And I never really found anything. It was either not sustainable or it wasn't giving me any results, or both, not sustainable and not giving me any results. Um, I came to Ayurveda by accident almost. I almost say Ayurveda found me, not the other way around. But it has been the gift that keeps on giving. I started off trying it for my health, for my physical health, but it has opened up this entire idea of energy to me, and something I had never thought about before. Before Ayurveda and what I do now, I worked in public health research. I did my PhD in mental health and addiction, and I thought that we had the answers. And the thing I have realized now is we used to be very confused when people came in with a mental health issue, but they also had a physical health issue. Why is it
Right.
so complex? Why is it the body seems to not work even when the mental health issues are there? We were so confused. And it took me coming to Ayurveda and understanding the overarching concept of energy to realize that we are holistic, everything matters. If one part
Yes.
of you doesn't work, lots of things don't work. And the opportunity there is when you start fixing a few things physically, a few things mentally, a few things emotionally, a few things spiritually, somehow they all start working together. And that is what real health is. Yeah. And
Wow.
that's how I am here today, working with Ashwini, no less.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited because I'm sure we have a lot in common. Just
Mm,
the way Ayurveda found you, I would say Reiki found me.
mm,
It was year 2014 where I attended my first Reiki class just to get stress relief from
mm,
my work. I was an investment banker then, and I used to
mm.
work for 14 hours. More
Yeah.
than that, sometimes I used to even think of work in sleep, and
Yeah.
my quality of life was really bad. And there was a lot of emotional and mental stress which I was going through, because of which I connected to my Reiki master and a journey began. I agree with a lot of things you said because I believe that I just went to explore Reiki, but what showed up after that was phenomenal.
Mm.
And here I am, I could say 8 years later, talking about holistic health,
Yeah.
I have been working with clients, their energies, because Reiki, as you said, just like Ayurveda, works with the energy, and Reiki connects you to your energy body. And
Mm.
when clients come with issues, it could be physical health issues, aches and pains, it could
Yep.
be mental health issues, emotional health issues. It works on the auric field. I'm also an Access Consciousness BARS facilitator, a CFMW of Access Consciousness, and a body process practitioner, which makes me work more with human bodies as a part of my work. And every day has been a beautiful learning experience. And here I am working with you, the wonderful
Yes, I
Dr.
know.
Krishnan, and I'm looking forward for all that we will be creating in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm equally excited because I think until we started talking, I knew about Reiki, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize how aligned it was with Ayurveda. And I'm always happy to find another science that is aligned because
Yes.
I feel like ultimately anything where you realize that we are more than the physical, we're more than the physics, that energy matters. I think all of that tends to come into alignment. And really all I wanted to do today, though we're talking about fasting, I thought if we start talking about fasting from an energetic perspective rather
Yes.
than from a regimental perspective, it can really change your approach to fasting and help you create a more personalized fasting routine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really our only intention today is to create some awareness
Totally.
about energy. Yeah. Um, Maybe we. What do you think, Ashwini? Should we get started?
I think let's get started. We have
Yeah.
Ghatna Nadkarni. Hello,
Hi,
Kaki. She's
Katna. How are
watching.
you?
She's dropped a hi, looking for. We have
Hi.
6 more people, so we are looking to hear from all of you. And I guess
Yes.
let's get started and let people catch up. Also, all
Yeah.
of you who are watching us live, please drop a comment, hashtag live. And for all of you who will watch us as a replay, please drop a comment, hashtag replay. So we
Yeah.
will know that you're
Yes.
watching us and we are watching you. So shall we begin, Dhanya? What do you think? Should we start?
Yes, Ashwini. Go ahead.
Okay, so maybe let me start with my perspective and my experience about this. So when we decided to speak about this, because we both have been very, very, very passionate about this topic of energy, food, mental health, emotional health, physical health, it all comes together. But the basis of all of this is energy. Because there is one thing which I believe is your energy is your is what you project on the whole world. Sometimes we meet people and we believe that, oh, I think this person has got really good vibes.
Mm.
what is actually happening. We are connecting to the person at an energy level, and that is something which our human brain cannot recognize, but our energy field recognizes that the person has good vibes. So, the first language which we learn, even before we learn to speak, is energy. And that's the reason children, kids, babies, they communicate through energy because that is the first step of life. As we keep growing older, we keep learning, we keep reading. There are various things which come to us, but we stop focusing on energy. When dis-ease, what is dis-ease? So when a disease is created in body, we are not at ease with our body. It is as simple as that. Now, there are several reasons, and there could be so much. And of course, in this 1 hour webinar, we may not be able to cover all, but yes, that's the reason we are looking forward to conduct something for the entire day. We will come to it, and we are looking forward to that too. But what I would like to share here is our connection with our body determines how we live our life, right? So we are a being. You would call us a person, a human being. You can call it by different names, but I would say we are beings and we have a body. A lot of people ask me that in spirituality, do we really pay attention to the body or is everything on the spirit? So yes, spirit is an important aspect of us because when we look at all layers of aura in the Reiki, we speak about multiple layers of aura. We work on multiple layers of aura, but the connection our being has with our body determines how happy, healthy, joyful, glorious, gracious, magnificent our life can be. Because this is a vessel through which we exist, we live, and I wouldn't use the word survive because we
No.
are meant to thrive.
Yeah.
So, Danya, the first point which I wanted to talk today, and as the multiple discussions we had about so much amazing things about our learnings and realizations, one thing I realized was in today's fast-paced world, most of us have lost touch with our body.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, and in access consciousness, we call this concept as awareness because if you are aware, you're in a place where you're not judging. You're just being
Mm.
aware
Mm.
of your body. And awareness is the key to everything.
Mm.
When we were younger, when we were kids, we would eat at our own time,
Mm.
sleep at our own time. But then we started going school. And that was the
Mm.
time, 12 o'clock is the time everyone is going to eat. And this is the time you're going to do this, and this is the time you're going to do this, and this is the time. So, yes, our body too has a clock. I'm sure you're going to talk about
Yes.
all of it. Yes, I'm sure
Yes.
you're going to talk about that. But most of the times, as we started growing up, because this is my own experience, when I used to work
Mm.
in office, I used to take my lunch breaks at
Mm.
such a time which is the most convenient for my work and not for my
Mm.
body. So I
Mm.
used to work with London team, and lunchtime was the time where London office used to open, the markets used to open, and
Yeah.
that was the time I was supposed to have food, but I used to put it off till 4 p.m., right?
Mm.
And I used to be hungry, but I can't. That was what
Yeah.
my excuse was.
Yeah.
And this is how we abuse our body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
We put more food sometimes. We don't need to eat that much food. Our body doesn't need it. We
Mm.
put that much
Mm.
food. We
Yeah.
eat at irregular times. We sleep at 2 at
Yes.
night, wake up at,
Yeah.
oh, and my life has changed after I let go of this habit of sleeping late and waking early. My life has changed. I'm sure you
Absolutely.
you would be someone who would
Absolutely.
be better to talk about it too.
No, no, but it's always nice to hear a real experience from a real
Yes.
person to see how the
Yes.
changes, because I'm sure Ashwini, you experienced that as your sleep changed, it's not just physically that you felt better, correct? Yeah. So, I mean,
And the
so
mornings
much
are
of,
pleasant.
yeah, I mean, and that's huge, isn't it? When you, the way you start your day, it has a huge impact at every level on the quality of your life. I run a sleep workshop as well, online sleep
Yes.
workshop, because if there's one thing I'm so passionate about, it is good quality over, for me, a lot of, and today what I would love to share is about really, in essence, the quality of energy is as
Yeah.
important, if not more important, than how much energy you have. The same goes for food.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'll get into that. But that's absolutely correct, and I'm so happy to hear that your changes have been. Was it
Yeah.
difficult to change? Did you find it very challenging?
Not really. It happened very organically, to be very
Mm,
honest. Um, there were a couple of factors. One was the fact that um, my body, my body started feeling fresh.
mm,
So it organically happened. So I would say, Danya, I was someone who used to sleep at 1 and 2, maybe about 5, 6 years ago. From there, I
yeah,
moved to 12.
yeah.
Okay. And now for me,
Mm,
it's, I try and sleep. Like for me, the target is 10. Some days it is 10:30. Some days
yeah.
it is 11. But that has changed. And I want to go further. I want to sleep at
Mm,
10 and I want to wake. So now for me, I don't hesitate to wake up at 6, 6:30,
mm,
because earlier
mm.
that was a task. I just
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
Also, my gut health, I'm working on that right now, because we're going to
Mm,
also talk
mm.
about gut health in
Gut
this
health.
workshop.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean, if
for me,
my the topic I am most passionate about is digestion. Gut health
yes,
rules
yes,
everything else. It will good gut health can change your physical life, your emotional life, your mental life, because only, modern science is now very impressed with the gut brain research. Gut brain research has been in Ayurveda since its conception 5,000 years ago.
yes.
Yeah.
And one thing which I've also realized is, now when this is how we connect Ayurveda and Reiki, because in Reiki we work with the solar plexus chakra, the
Mm.
energy center.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, just give me a minute. I think I'm facing some issues with my
Sure.
internet. Are you all able to hear me?
We can hear you, but your video is a little bit slow. Oh, it's so nice to see a couple of people saying hello. Hi to everybody who's listening. If you've got any
Okay, is this
questions, you
better
can
now?
pop them in the chat. Yep, you're back on. We can see you again. Yeah.
I'm back on. Yes, my
Yes.
internet, I just reconnected to another one. So,
Oh, that's okay. So
all
you were
right.
saying Reiki, you use the Manipura
Yes.
chakra.
The Manipur or the solar plexus chakra is the center of not just um, your strength and power. It, on the physical level, it works with the digestive system. It also
Absolutely.
works on the emotional level and on the mental level with your
Mm.
strength, power, your courage, your ability to take decisions, the way you see
Mm.
yourself in the world, the way you see yourself in a group, the way you
That's right.
feel when someone, yeah, the way you feel when, if something negative happens around you and
Mm.
you go into a shell.
That's right.
With a strong
Absolutely.
Manipura chakra, you could work on that.
That's right. And
Also,
in
then we have,
Ayurveda, the term we use is Agni. So Agni
yes,
is your digestive fire. It is literally
digestive
the
fire.
fire in your belly. Yeah. And when
Yes,
the fire in your belly is strong, as you say, it's not just that your digestion is strong. You have a fire, you have a passion in your life.
you have a
And
passion.
that passion, yeah, and that is the passion that fuels your confidence, your sense of self and self esteem, your power for manifesting in your life,
Yes, yes,
and your
yes.
power to digest everything you understand. Because the thing that I love about the science of Ayurveda and yoga, and they were meant to be used together. Ayurveda and yoga
Together.
are the sisters.
They're sister
They are
science.
meant to be
Yeah.
used together. Yeah. So they are what give us power. And the thing I love that Ayurveda and yoga tell us about Agni, about digestion,
Yeah.
is that we don't just digest food, we digest everything we consume through our five senses. We have to digest information. And you can have indigestion that has nothing to do with food. You can be unable to digest your life, or the things that are happening around you, and that will cause gut problems. That is what stress looks like. It is actually a form of
Yes.
indigestion. Yeah.
And
So
a lot of
that's
people,
actually, sorry, go on,
yeah,
Ashwini.
a lot of people are treating indigestion on a symptomatic level.
Yes. What are those
Right.
anti-acid tablets? Oh my gosh.
And I
Everybody
have,
I know
again,
carries a bottle of it.
and if you ask me, in my
Mm,
life, I would say in my teenage, I used to have a lot of
yes.
health problems. I spoke
Mm,
about it once when we spoke. I'm again telling it
mm,
to all our viewers. I think my teens, I was not the healthiest child,
mm,
or the healthiest teen. Even in my early 20s, I was not very healthy. But I think it was post 25 that my work towards holistically looking, and there was a time where I said I'm going to stop taking all the tablets. I said that.
yeah.
I told that to my
Yeah.
parents. I was 19, and I told my mom and
Mm,
dad that it's okay, even if I die, I'm not going to take the tablets. And they were like, "What?" I was like, "I'm just
yeah.
sick of all of this." And that
Yeah.
was, I think, my
Yeah.
first beginning with this. But a lot of times, as you rightly said, because when people come to me for access body processes, for Reiki, for access bars, and the people who are having issues with digestion are the people who
Mm,
feel that in their life something is not going the way they really feel it
they
should be
wanted.
going. And they
Yeah.
also want to control it, and they want a specific outcome.
Yes.
So they want to
Yes.
control and control.
Yes. Absolutely. I run a workshop as well on stress management, and
Wow.
it's very different because the perspective that Ayurveda and yoga takes on stress
Yeah.
is that we cause stress.
Yes.
Situations don't cause stress. We cause
Yes.
stress because we are resisting reality. We are
Yeah.
resisting what is. And that is essentially what stress is. And that's how I feel a little bit about fasting as well. So if you're happy, I'd be happy to go through my 3 tips for fasting just on the subject of
Yes, I'm
stress,
looking
because I
forward to
feel
them.
like, yeah,
I'm
I feel
looking
like that's
forward
a
to
really
them.
nice segue. Yeah. So I think what I'd love to do for everybody before we even get into the tips is let me just talk a little bit about what fasting is. Okay? Because I know fasting has become so trendy right now, and
Yeah.
rightly so, which is great. I think one of the best things that's happened because maybe of the pandemic is that we are so aware of our health, of our immune health, of our gut health, of the fact that we need self care physically and mentally, because we've been living in a world that has been going through a very challenging time for years. And we now see that that isn't just going to go away. So we need to take charge of our health, and this is the time. And I'm so glad to see so many people looking for options for themselves. And I think the other thing about fasting is it's also become very trendy. So, social media, health experts, celebrities, everybody is fasting. And it's raising awareness, right? And so, what is fasting? So, fasting can be anything from the number of hours in the day you fast. So I did a quick Google of all the latest ways of fasting, and the things I came
Okay.
up with were, yeah, just so I know, I always need to keep track of what people are doing, because when I do one-on-one consultations and I do workshops, sometimes I hear something I've never heard of before, and I'm like, oh my God. So I always do a quick Google. So I'll give you some examples that are happening that are trendy now with fasting. Okay. So the first thing I found was the 16/8, which is 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours where you can eat. And you can eat along anywhere along those 8 hours. Okay. Then there is the days of the week. So there's the 5 to 2 fasting, which means 5 days of eating however you want, and 2 days of full fasting. Okay. Then there is fasting where you have a restricted calorie diet. So 2 or 3 days a week, you eat whatever you want. And then 2 or 3 days a week, you eat a third of your regular calories. So the example I saw was a woman going down to 500 calories a day for 2 days a week. And she would otherwise need about at least 3 times more of those calories. Okay. And then what is it? And then there's different ways of fasting. So some people consider it fasting if you're a vegetarian a few days a week. Some people say, I'm not going to eat wheat, I won't eat carbs. Some people just have water, some people just have dry fruit. So fasting is so many different things to so many different people, and I just wanted to start by acknowledging that, because when your friend tells you they are fasting and you want to try it, you really want to ask them the specifics of what they are doing. Because I notice a lot of friends talk to friends about fasting and people are trying stuff. So if you know someone who's fasting and they're getting great results, really drill down and ask them exactly what they're doing, so you know what your goal is. It's really important to get good information, and that's what I'm hoping to share today. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, when we go back to why are we fasting. All right, so I know
Right.
it's very trendy, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that we do live at a time where chronic disease is rampant. I read a research article by the World Health Organization that today, in developed countries, which are largely Western countries, 1 in every 3 people, 3 adults, has a chronic disease. So 1 in every 3 people has either diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity. That's a very big number.
Yes,
We're
yes.
7 billion people in the world, and if 2.5 billion people have a chronic disease, that's a problem for the health system. And also, we are getting chronic diseases younger than in previous generations. What used to happen in your 60s and 70s is now happening in our 30s and 40s, which is also
Yes.
unheard of. I see
And
it in
even
my
for our
friends.
grandparents. So my grandfather lived a very healthy life.
Yeah.
I would say he crossed 85,
Hmm.
and the generation after that, which is our parents, I see
Yeah,
people
the baby
falling sick.
boomers.
Yeah, the baby boomers
Yeah,
falling
the
sick
baby
in
boomers.
their 60s, even in 50s.
Yes, yes. And our
And
generation, our friends, right? Late 30s, 40s.
late
I
30s.
mean,
Yes.
yeah. I'm 38 this year, and I definitely think since I hit 35, I can see my friends around me slowly, pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, blood pressure. It's
Yes.
all sort of happening. um, and also I really, because I did my PhD in addiction and mental health, and I've done all my fellowships in suicide and depression research, and
Yeah,
we have never seen mental health issues like we are seeing them right now. We are in a crisis in terms of mental health.
we are.
Yeah, and it's not just in adults, it's in children.
It's in
There
children.
are some very, yeah, there are some very heartbreaking stories out there about what's happening amongst the younger generation of people, especially in terms of their mental health.
And
So
I'll
we
tell
are
you
in
one more
panic
thing here.
mode. Yeah, Ashwini, go
I
ahead.
would share one more thing here. I think a lot of people who are undergoing mental health situations are not even ready to speak about it because of the taboo about it. So
Absolutely,
I know
yes.
a
There
lot
is a
of
lot
my
of stigma.
clients, yes, a lot of my clients who are women speak to
Hmm.
me and they say that their husband is having mental health issues, but he would not open up
Yes,
because there is a lot of
yeah,
shame around it.
yes. And it's true because even in mental health research, we know that women are more likely to reach out than men.
Yes,
And we know that women are generally more conscious about their health, and there are physical, there are biological, there are evolutionary reasons for that as well. um, and I think, and in fact, in India and China are some of the emerging countries for chronic disease. As affluence comes to these countries, so does chronic disease. And so
Yes.
I think a lot of people are trying to do all these things to take care of their health, which is, again, it's fantastic that there is so much awareness. But what we have done in modern healthcare, I would say, and
Yeah.
bring this back to energy, is we have
Yes.
taken a very quantitative approach to health. We count everything now. We count our calories, we count nutritional value, we count steps, we count how many kilometers we run, we count our BMI, we count our body weight. We count and count and count. And I think as a result, many people today feel like they are experiencing weight gain because they're watching a scale, and they think it's because they are eating too much because they're looking at calories. Um, and I think that a lot of people come to fasting as a form of weight loss.
Weight loss diet.
Fasting for weight loss is a very common reason to come to it.
And
And
they
I
call
guess
it
it's
diet.
because, yeah, and
They
they
call
call
it
it a
diet.
diet. Yeah, that's right. But basically, what they're doing is it's a form of fasting, correct? Because they're changing their calorie intake. Um, so, that's one group of people. And often they are the people who've got the high cholesterol, the weight gain, the heart disease, or sluggishness, things like that. Then there's another group who are fasting because they're trying to optimize their health. So they are fasting to reduce body fat. They're fasting to increase muscle mass. They're trying to reduce joint pain, inflammation, healthy aging as well. And they've been told that fasting will help them do these things. And it's true that fasting in a correct way can be very, very helpful. But for a lot of people, fasting just means restricting calories, and that can be a little bit problematic if you're looking at it purely in that way. And now, it's true that if you restrict calories, we all know that you will lose weight. And some people are finding that that's the case. But let me just say here, there is a real catch to fasting for weight loss. And the biggest problem is because fasting routines can be very extreme and very regimental. They put you in a little box. And we know that a lot of people who fast for weight loss, what happens to their weight is it goes like this, it drops and drops and drops, and then it flattens, often
Yes.
before they have hit the target that they're up to. And the question for me is, first, why do you have that target? What drives that number that you are trying to get to? Um, but for anybody out there who is already fasting or thinking about fasting, I just wanted to point out that there are a few things you really want to look out for that are telling you that the way you're fasting isn't working. Okay, so I'll list them out. If you have any hunger, hangry, so you're really your hunger is so strong it's making you angry or moody, what you're
Hungry.
eating, hangry. It's a very I think in Australia we use it a lot. But if you get hangry often, you need to look at your diet. If you have a hormone imbalance, especially for women, if you have irregular menstruation, if you are skipping your periods, if you have very light periods or very heavy periods, you really
Yeah.
want to think about whether fasting is good for you. If you have any kind of sleep issues, especially if you are a light sleeper or you're waking up many times at night, again, you really want to reconsider fasting or the kind of fasting you're doing. And finally, if you have digestive issues, really fix the digestive issues first before you think about fasting, because fasting can actually negatively affect all of these problems. They can make them
Yeah.
worse. They can help them, but they can also make them worse. So if you're fasting and you're finding you're getting any of these symptoms, maybe you need to adjust how you're fasting. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. How do you adjust your fasting? Okay. But please keep an eye on these things, they're really critical for your health. Food, sleep, and mood are that is where your joy lives. Don't take
Yes.
your joy away. Enjoy your food, enjoy your sleep, enjoy your bliss. Nothing should get in the way of those things. Okay, so the tips I'm going to share about fasting, I promised three, but I'm actually going to give you four because I was thinking about
It's
it
a
and I
bonus.
thought, yeah, we'll do four tips. So I want to start. The first tip is this: it's true that the modern diet is higher in calories than it has ever been. Absolutely true. But the myth is this: we shouldn't be counting calories. We should be looking at nourishing ourselves. We should be looking at the quality of our food. Very, very important. You could be high in calories, but very low in nourishment. And that is one of the
Yeah.
most common things I see
Which
in
is happening in
people.
today's world.
Yes. You can be eating a lot, but you may be malnourished. You could be starving. And this is because of digestion. If your digestion is weak, your ability, it doesn't matter, you could be eating a chia pudding breakfast, and you could be having a edamame bean salad, and you could be having a high protein, whatever. But if you can't absorb that nutrition, it is just waste that is traveling through your digestive tract. And this really goes back to your relationship with food. So before you think about fasting, if you're starting to think about fasting, first ask yourself, what is my relationship with food? Is it emotional? Is it cultural? Am I eating because I'm sad? Am I eating because I'm hungry? Am I eating because I'm trying to create this perfect life and food is how I'm going to get there?
Yes,
you
totally.
know yeah, this is energy, because food is energy management. And if you are low in good quality energy, you don't want to cut it any lower. That's not a good time to
Right.
fast. You want to fix the quality of the food you're already eating, get your digestion strong, and then if it's suitable for you, you can introduce some fasting. Okay. Energy is everything. At every level, it's all energy. And that's why when I was starting my business, I called it prana. Because prana, we
Energy.
get prana from our food, and prana
Yes.
from the food becomes the prana of the body. And that prana of the body is, as you were saying, Ashwini, the aura that we have is our prana. And the
Yes.
mind, the thing that lights up the mind is prana, and the
Is
thing that
prana.
feeds the soul is prana. And you need to have enough to do all of the things that your body needs to do. You need to
Yes.
feed your prana. And that's very important. So my suggestion for fasting is that fasting should be purification through
Yeah.
simplification without deprivation. Okay,
I
I'll
love
repeat
that.
that again. Yeah, so
Yes.
fasting is purification through simplification without deprivation. No depriving yourself, no restrictive, unhappy, dissatisfied. When you have cravings, all of that means something is not working. Those are your red flags. If you're not sleeping well, if you're not digesting well, if you're not feeling joyful, then we really want to look at fixing those things first. Okay. So I wanted to add that that is my fourth tip, but I'm putting that at the top because if you are thinking about starting a fast, first look at your food. What is your relationship? How do you cook? How do you enjoy your meals? What time do you eat? Look at those things first. Don't complicate it by adding one more thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Pre fasting. Okay. So the next thing is, okay, we're all fasting. Everybody fasts. Unless you're waking up at 3 a.m. to go to the fridge and eat something, everybody fasts. Right? It's true. Like, if Ashwini, for example, what time do you have dinner?
8, 8:30.
8. And what time do you have breakfast?
Again, 8:39 in the
8
morning.
something? Yeah. So you're having a 12 to 13-hour fast anyway.
Correct.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So we all fast to some extent in some way every day. Um, and it's really important here to think about the fact that fasting has to work for us by first thinking about the whether it's appropriate for you, whether it's suiting you. For many people, 12 to 13 hours is actually enough fasting. You don't need to go very much further past that. Okay. So if you're going to be fasting, because one of the things I hear a lot is 16 hours of fasting. If
Yes.
you're fasting for 16 hours, it's very trendy. You've basically cut a meal out. Because if you have dinner at 8 o'clock at night, you basically need to have lunch the next day and skip breakfast altogether to get 16 hours of fasting. And that's why I raised the first point, which is if you are not eating quality food, if you're not nourished, now on top of being undernourished, you are under calorified yourself. So you're depriving yourself in quite a big way. Um, and weight is not a good measure of health at all. In Ayurveda, we talk about constitutions. We each have a very unique constitution. I used to be, on the surface, really fit. So I went to the gym almost every day. I ate very lightly. I have a small build and I was always on the slimmer side. And so I looked really healthy, but I had a lot of inflammation. I used to get gas, I got bloating, I had very severe acne, I had very bad psoriasis. All of these symptoms were coming up. But on the paper, I was doing everything else. I had salads, I ate very lightly, I went to the gym a lot. I had a healthy diet. I had a very modern, healthy diet. And what did I do when I came to Ayurveda? I actually went against all the modern stuff. I started
Yeah.
eating chapati and rice at every meal. So I carved. Oh my God, carbs. I stopped going to the gym altogether. I stopped running completely. I really slowed everything down. I stopped trying to achieve at work. I started to just say, okay, I'm going to do what's needed and leave it there. And over about 6 months, all my inflammation started to subside. And my biggest shock was that I was eating almost twice what I was eating before,
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to the gym. I was doing yoga, very simple yoga. I didn't put on any weight, which means I was living in a deprivation mode for years and I didn't even know it. If you can
Yes.
eat more and not put on weight, that means somewhere in you you needed it.
Yeah.
Maybe emotionally, maybe
Yes.
there's prana, prana. It's so important. So that's why I always like to start by saying that if you are fasting, first consider the quality of the nourishment that you are getting, because it's really, really important. Okay. All right. Now, the three ways to personalize your fasting. So each of us is a bit unique. And in Ayurveda, we talk about it in Constitution, but I'll break it
Yes.
down today so that it's a little easier to, for us to follow. In the full workshop, I will actually talk about all of these factors in more detail and give you a way to put it all together in a easy to follow routine to try. Okay. But for today, in the interest of time, I'll just go over them quickly. So the
Yes.
first thing is we have to remember that we are all in different ages and stages of life. So our the amount of energy we need depends on our activity level. Every day may be a little bit different, and so you can't say I need 2000 calories every single day for the rest of my life. Okay. I'll give you an example. So I have one client. She's 28 years old. She's working full time. She travels quite a lot for work because she's in a sales role. She exercises 4 to 5 times a week. And because she travels, she's often at a gym. So she's, running or doing weights. And she wants to conceive. She wants to fall pregnant. And that's why we're working together. Her energy demand for everything she's doing in her life is very different to another woman I'm working with who's almost 60 years old. She's a semi retired music teacher and she lives alone. She's got a dog and she goes for a walk every day. Their energy levels, can you imagine if they ate the same amount? It wouldn't work. Their lives are completely different. They are in different
Different.
stages of life. Yeah. And energy is a finite resource. It's like a pie. You only get so
Yes.
much. And you've got to be mindful of where you want to use it. And the thing
I'm
here
going to
is,
add here something.
yes,
I'm going to
please.
add
Yeah.
something here. Energy can neither be created nor it can be destroyed.
That's right.
That is the first
Absolutely.
thing we learn when
Absolutely.
we go to a Reiki school. That
Yes. And so
you
Einstein
can't.
clearly attended
Yes,
Reiki. Yeah,
he was the master
that's
of
right.
everything.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, it's true. Exactly right. And so, where are you getting your energy from? You can't manifest energy, it has to come into the body, right? So if you know that, you've really got to ask yourself, can I afford to be in deficit when I have so much of demand? So and energy is not just in our physical, it's not in walking, it's in thinking. Using your mind uses energy. If you are negotiating with a client, if you are trying to get your 4-year-old to eat her vegetables, that requires energy too. All of life is an expenditure of energy, or a use of, or a consumption of energy. I'm a 37-year-old mother. I've got 2 young children. I walk my kids to school. I do yoga most days. I run my own health practice. And my energy demands, I'm cooking every day. I clean. I go walking. I have to be creative. I have to write workshops. I have to work with clients. If I run into deficit, that is when life becomes stressful,
Yes.
you know and the people who suffer the most are the people who you love, the people who need you, the people who trust you, um, and most importantly, yourself. You must have a little bit left over at the very end of the day for your self love, for your self care. You are number one for you. If you fall apart, nothing else really matters. So my first tip is, please consider the time of your life, um, and eat in a way that gives you enough quality nourishment for you to go and enjoy your life and do the things you want to do. Okay. All right. And when we go into the workshop, I'll actually show you how in Ayurveda we look at the seasons of life, and every season
Yes.
of life is a different way of using energy and thinking about energy. And I think that's quite useful to know. But please consider that we're all in different stages. So you and your daughter, if I was working with my daughter is 7 years old, our energy demands are really different. She needs a lot of energy, even compared to me. So, you have to think about those things. Okay. The second is gender. And I feel very passionately about this because I work with a lot of women. And then they try to get their husbands to come for a consultation because
That
he's got some
happens.
health issues too, right? I'm sure you see it too, Ashwini.
Same,
So
same
I
here.
just want, yeah, I mean, which is great. So I just want to say that we live in an era of feminism and female empowerment. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think part of the gap that has been created is somewhere in the course of trying to have it all and be strong. We forgot that we need to also be able to be women, fully experience being female. And I work with a lot of women who, even if on the surface they are beautifully curvaceous and voluptuous, many of them are malnourished. Many, many women are not nourishing themselves fully. And I compare this a bit to, you see this really beautiful tree, lots of green leaves and lots of branches and deep roots. But when you knock on it, it's hollow. And this is why we are facing a fertility epidemic. There has never
Yes.
been so many problems with fertility in our history. And I
Yes.
feel very, very sad. And I know what it's like. I struggled to fall pregnant with my daughter. We had miscarriages. I went to see a specialist. And the thing that I realized through Ayurveda is, again, I was malnourished. I didn't have enough energy to be able to conceive and carry to term. And my second child, my son, was my Ayurveda baby. I had him after I came to Ayurveda. What a difference. Different kind of conception. I knew that month I was going to fall pregnant. Different kind of pregnancy, the most incredible labor. I had such ease breastfeeding. It was such a different experience. And my heart really goes out. I know how hard it is when you have fertility issues. I know what that feels like. And I just want to say that today, hormonal problems, PMS, painful menstruation, scanty, irregular menstruation, infertility, difficult perimenopause, difficult menopause, it's so common. You know, I know we talk about COVID as a pandemic, but we
Yeah.
women, we are experiencing another kind of pandemic of our
Another
own.
kind of, and
Yeah,
which is so
you
true
know,
because I know among the women people, among the people who come to see me, the women who come to see me, most of them are either having issues with PMS, a lot of issues with PMS.
yeah,
That's just the peak of the iceberg, tip of the
yep,
iceberg. I would
Yeah.
say there are and a lot of women are having PCOD, PCOS, who specifically
Yes.
come for body process sessions, because with the body process we work with um, the body, and
Mm.
a lot more with um, post pregnancy issues, even on the
Mm.
mental,
Yes,
even on the mental
postpartum depression is huge.
yes, yes,
Postpartum depression, absolutely, absolutely. Um, in fact, in Australia, we are
yeah,
now beginning to recognize that confinement has so many benefits. Now we are beginning to see it. Those days we all went, oh, what a ridiculous idea. Why would you spend your first month at home? You should be out and about. Life has to continue. But life never continues after you have children. It has to change for your children's sake, for your sake, yeah. And in fact, one of the things I was reading recently is someone was working with me and I was doing some research. The
yeah,
age at which we first experience puberty has dropped by 6 years. When my
it
mother
has.
was a girl, girls would get their periods for the first time between 13 and 16. When I was young, Ayashwini, we talked about this, no? It was 12,
Yes,
13. Now it's 9 or 10 years old. And this is now documented in research. And I went for a parenting talk by a very well-known author in Melbourne recently. And she desperately asked parents, she said, please, we have to reverse this trend. It is going to cause so many problems because these little girls are not emotionally ready for
not ready.
menstruation. Why is it happening? And a lot of this again comes back to everything we consume, diet and lifestyle, everything that we are taking in through our senses, and how our children are getting their energy is not suiting
Yes,
them. So
and
I really,
energetically. One more
yep,
point here is energetically, women don't want to be women anymore. They want to be like
yes,
men.
we are rejecting the feminine. Yeah, absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
and they feel it's a sign of weakness. So I know so many of
Weakness.
my friends who say that if you are on your period and if you want to just
I
take some rest
know.
for your body, just do it. But
Yes,
they say, no,
absolutely. You
I'm
should.
someone who never takes a break. I'm even on my period, I go out and I'm working. And what if your body is
Yeah,
asking you to rest? There is no
yeah.
communion with the body, no connect.
Absolutely. I used to swim when I was menstruating. I never realized how bad it was until I came to Ayurveda because I didn't understand energy. And as I
Yeah.
started to understand energy and how prana has to move at every single layer, I made
Yes.
changes, and it is incredible. And it is the greatest, the greatest gift we have, because in Ayurveda, we say that energy travels through the many layers of the body. And the
Yes.
last
Yes.
layer to be nourished is Shukra Dhatu, which is your reproductive organs. And Shukra
Yes.
actually means bliss, it means gratitude. So the gift that we have in our life, one of the most powerful gifts we give, is the gift we give to the world through reproduction. But
Yes.
that layer of the body is nourished last. So you need to have enough nourishment to travel through all the other 6 layers before it gets to the last one. So women, especially if you are fasting, please be very mindful that during the course of a menstrual cycle you need to fast a little bit differently. You can fast a little bit more for the first 2 weeks. But if you are someone who experiences painful periods, PMS, fertility issues, irregular periods, PCOS, please be very mindful of fasting, especially in the second half of your cycle, because energy demands are different through our cycle. And you really need to be aware of that. This is where a lot of women, I tell them, if you feel hangry, please listen to your body. Your body
Yeah.
is asking for something. Don't deprive it. Okay, so that's my second tip. My third tip, and this is what again we'll be talking about more in the workshop because I live in a
Yes.
seasonal country and I feel like
Yeah.
this is a really important topic. You must fast seasonally. You cannot live the same life all year round. Even if you live in a place like India, where there are monsoon seasons and summer seasons and winters, you really need to consider the climate a little bit in your fasting routine. And that's because our metabolic rate is also trying very hard to keep us alive and well through the year. And our metabolism changes through the season.
To the
And we need
seasons.
to support it. Yeah, because digestion changes through the season. That is why one of the best things you can do is to learn to eat seasonally. Look at the animals. Look at the plants. They are always shifting. There's
They are
such
always
wisdom in
with
them.
the nature. They are with the
Yeah,
nature all
that's
the time.
right. That's right. They know when to eat, they know when to sleep, they know when to mate, they know when to migrate. We are the only ones who have lost these really important instincts.
Yes.
Um, so we are not machines. We are part of that world out there in the wild. We are something wild. We are something that has this beautiful instinct in us. We know those in our hearts. We know the truth. We know the things that nobody else can tell us, and we need to go inside and find those truths for ourselves. And the first place to start is get to know your body. Let it be a friend. Don't fight the body. you
Yes.
know yeah, I think this is the wisdom that our bones and our muscle and our tissue for generations have been carried, by our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers. There is so much wisdom that we carry, and culture. We have each of us comes from a cultural background that is specific to our family. Today in modern medicine we call it the gut microbiome, right? But what
Oh,
is it
okay.
really? Yeah. So the gut microbiome, I know a lot of people ask me about gut health. And I always tell people, they say, oh, how do I need to take all these prebiotics and probiotics for my health. And I tell people, do you know that if you eat seasonally, you are going to consume the prebiotics and probiotics that nature has intended, not just for us, but for all the living creatures in this environment. So eat local, eat seasonally, and eat as organically as you can afford to,
As
as
possible.
organically as is available. There is no perfection. There is whatever you can do, you do that, you know um, and I think especially right now, I'm so happy that I'm coming to India for two reasons. One is it's so wet everywhere, and I really want to talk to people about why this is a great time to actually think about fasting in a safe and balanced way. Actually, the end of the monsoon season and the beginning of the warm weather is the best time to introduce a little bit of sensible fasting into the diet. And we'll do that in Melbourne as well because it's end of winter, early spring. um,
Okay.
and
And I guess
that's why.
I guess I guess that's the reason Shravan is when people fast. And now there is
That's right.
Hartalika on Tuesday, which is the
That's
day
right.
where women fast.
Yeah, that's right. Especially for women, because we have a more sensitive digestion, because we are supposed to be these deeply sensitive, strong, intuitive, Shakti powered. That is our role. And we can do that and still be smart and still work in offices and still be empowered and still earn a lot of money.
Yes.
But we really need to hold on to the wisdom that makes us biologically who we are. So, yeah, so when we're in our workshop, I'll talk a little bit about why fasting during the seasons is actually the safest way to start fasting,
Yeah.
and why specifically Shravan is a fantastic way to start fasting if you want to start fasting. Um, Basically, we know that in Ayurveda, we know, coming back to Agni, to Manipura chakra,
Yes.
your
Yes.
your Manipura chakra in the course of a year and the seasons, it's also, up and down, up and down, up and down, and you feel it emotionally. There are times where you feel a bit down, and have you noticed that on a really dark, rainy day, you feel a bit down, you feel a bit introverted? That is Manipura chakra and Agni. It's talking to you. And how you feel emotionally is how strong your digestion is. So, these are the simple tips that we used to use through ritual, through puja, through festivals, to help us connect the mind and body and to lift us out of a damp, dark time. That is why we celebrate. That is the beauty of festivals. If you've gone through a difficult time, if it's been very dark and wet, let's introduce a festival and rise the mood up, and say some prayer, connect with the spirit, remember that we are more than the body. So I'm really excited for that workshop. Like, I think it will be
Totally.
so fantastic. Yeah. And, I grew up in Malaysia. So I have celebrated Ramadan Eid I have celebrated the Chinese Lunar Festival. We have a Buddhist
Yes.
fasting festival over here. And because I'm from the south of India, we have different festivals as well. So we do Onam, we do Vishu. Um, and because now I live in Melbourne, we have Lent, we have Yom Kippur, which is what the Jewish people celebrate.
Jewish.
All of them have these beautiful, very, very sensible public health interventions, Ayurvedic interventions that are beautifully embedded in culture and ritual.
In culture.
And yeah, and I really feel that, like, instead of telling your children to eat their veggies, why not tell them to fully celebrate festivals? One thing I've noticed in India now is people celebrate the festivals, but they don't do the fasting anymore. They
Yes,
just
true.
want to celebrate. Yeah. And I would love to encourage people that there is such a joy to celebrating. I only started observing Shravan after I met my husband because he's Maharashtrian. But it's been 15 years now. And I really find that as a family, even my children fast. I think there is we've learned to treat food as something sacred, something to be grateful for.
True.
And yeah, and if you go a month doing something as simple as being vegetarian and not eating egg, on the day that you do have an animal, I we are grateful for the animal. We are thinking about the animal. We see the animal as something that is gifted to us rather than just consuming and consuming and consuming mindlessly. So, yeah. So basically, just to summarize, I'm aware of the time. 3 tips. Okay, 4 tips. The first tip is before you even think about fasting, start by looking at your food and whether or not you do need to fast or whether you just need to adjust your diet, what you are already eating. Remember that we're not looking for nutrition, we're looking for nourishment. Feel nourished. So that's the first thing. The next three are if you are already fasting, consider your age and stage of life. Consider the gender. So, women and men have very different energetic levels. And especially if you're a
Yeah.
woman and you're menstruating, remember that your energy needs shift. And the third thing is if you live in a seasonal location, please remember that the monsoon, feel into your digestion. Am I hungry in this cold, wet weather? Am I hungry in the peak of summer? Am I hungry when it's 0 degrees out there? Your body will tell you. And that can advise you as to how you can adjust your fasting in a way so that you are always purifying through simplifying without depriving. That is the
Without
most
depriving.
important. Yeah. So,
And yes,
yeah,
I'm
that's.
sure we will also talk about mental, what to consume. So your consumption
Mm,
is not only food, because here comes
absolutely.
the energy part. It also depends on what content you consume, how many hours you keep reading the phone,
Absolutely.
how many hours you keep watching the television, because
Yes,
that's also consumption. That's
absolutely.
food for the mind. That's food for the
Absolutely.
energy.
Yeah. And
We are going to talk.
if you are eating and watching TV, remember all of that needs to be digested by that one little fire you have in your stomach. So that will cause
Yes,
indigestion.
yes. And the kind of content which you see also matters, because if
Yeah.
you're going to watch a movie or a series where there is some crime scene going on, and if you're eating at the
Yes.
same time,
Yeah. You will get indigestion. Yeah.
and, and don't, I also talk about what you do before you sleep. So I would
Yes.
suggest that post dinner before you sleep is a time where you could just go within,
Yes,
avoid
that's
watching,
right.
and that is the time where prime television content
I
is up.
know
So
because I guess we it's there and we are finally free. The day is finally free. So actually, when we run our workshop, I'm actually
yeah,
going to show everybody my what I do on my fasting routine
yeah.
and show everybody how they can adjust that routine based on the 3 factors. So we will workshop together to personalize a fasting routine for you. That means that your fasting routine is actually also a sleep routine and it is
Yes.
also a digestion routine. So all of those 3 things are meant to be in one. You're not meant to. It's like saying that my arm, my leg, and my head are not 3 separate things. They're all part of who I
They're
am.
all together.
So similarly, your sleep, your fasting, your digestion, your lifestyle, your routine, they're
It's
all
all
it
connected.
doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah, they all work together. And when they work together, you will know instantly. You will just feel like you are flowing
Yeah,
through life. There will be no resistance.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And in
It,
the workshop, I'm sure we are also going to talk about a lot more things, including your pain and pleasure, how you connect to your body with the
yes.
sensations, because
Yes.
that is what helps you understand when you're hungry, when you're thirsty,
That's
and
right.
all of everything that's
Absolutely.
happening with the
And
body.
also cravings, sugar,
Craving.
salt, spicy
Yes.
food, meat, all of that stuff is, if you fast in a way that doesn't suit you, you can cause cravings
Yeah.
to happen. Yeah. So
And
you
we'll
really
connect
need to be
cravings.
careful.
Yeah, we'll also connect cravings to your emotions, because
Yes.
most of us who have cravings are the ones who there is an emotion which is running
Yeah.
behind
Sitting
it,
underneath it. Yeah.
sitting
Absolutely.
underneath it. Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll work
And
on that
again,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was going to say as well that, it's the most important thing from a diet perspective is that you want to make sure that you have a healthy relationship with food,
With food.
and yeah, and you want to enjoy food. You never want to take the joy out of food, because if you eat with shame, if you eat with judgment, if you eat with
Yes.
fear, if you eat with anger, if you eat with guilt, you will create indigestion no matter how healthy your meal is.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
And it does matter, because we are also going to talk about the conscious and the subconscious mind, and how the subconscious mind as well as the conscious mind work together in not just your thinking and thoughts, but also how your body works. So we are
Absolutely.
going to talk all about that in the main workshop, where we will introduce you to these concepts, and we will slowly walk you through cultivating body awareness. And as Dhanya rightly said, eating, sleeping, your your daily schedule. I think it's dinacharya in Ayurveda, right?
Dinacharya. Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
That's right. So we will build a dinacharya at the
we will do.
workshop. And I will show you how, Ashwini and I will both show you how, by connecting with your chakras, you can
Yes,
develop self body awareness. That is all. It is not something outside of you. It is your energy body in you that will tell you what you need. And then
yes,
when you there are days where I eat cake, I drink coffee, I have a glass of wine. Like, I'm not vegetarian strictly. I do everything in moderation, and that is what I really want
yes.
to share, because I think there is a lot of misconception that we need to live these very rigid lifestyles, to cultivate a spiritual life, to cultivate health. But
Yes,
actually, moderation and self awareness and self love
absolutely.
are where you can really thrive in your life. And I have a spiritual practice as well, and it is without guilt.
That is
You
most
can.
important.
Yeah, that's right. You must. We have this life. It is a gift.
It's
You
a
must enjoy it.
absolutely. And I will add one more thing to this, Dhanya. In the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita,
Mm,
Krishna says that a yogi is someone who eats in moderation, who
mm,
sleeps in moderation, who does everything in moderation.
yeah.
And in energy science, we've learned the same. Everything is moderation is good, because
Mm,
when we try to go for extremes, we
yes.
also try to control. We try
Yeah.
a lot of control. And
Yeah.
control is something which can deteriorate your mental health, your emotional health, and eventually your physical health. Because when you are trying to control every situation around you, it's not really going to help you. So of course
No,
we're also
that's
going
right.
to talk about letting
Yes,
go in the workshop. That will be
that's
one
right.
thing.
Yeah, and
Throwing the
I will. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I at the end of the workshop, I will actually talk about. So in Ayurveda, in yoga, and in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about what is our purpose. Why are we here?
yes,
The big questions of life, and the Bhagavad Gita talks a little bit about. So what is the Bhagavad Gita? If you think about it, Arjuna decided that he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to be in the battle. And what did Krishna tell him? He said, this is your dharma. This
Duty.
is your role. You are here now. What will you do with the opportunity that is presented to you? You have to work at the best of your capacity in the role you already have. So you don't need to change your life and run away and live in a cave to have a spiritual life. You don't need
Yes.
to give up food and deprive yourself to be well. You work with the tools you already have at a moderate place. And my favorite, because I used to be very strict about things, and I used to call it discipline, and now I know that it was actually control. And
Control.
yeah, it was control. And so, because I practice yoga as well, every morning when I do my meditation practice, we recite the yamas and niyamas. And these are
Yeah.
the ethical principles of yoga.
Yeah.
And the last of the niyamas is Ishvara Pranidhana. And that means
Yes.
surrender to the divine. And every time I say Ishvara Pranidhana, I remember that actually I can only do the things within my control, and then I have to surrender the things that are just not in my control.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think on that note, we will wrap up the session. Ashwini, what do you think?
Yes, we are just, I think I'm just going to quickly talk about the workshop dates
Yes.
because I know a lot of people who are watching us live
Yes.
and a lot of people who will watch us as a replay would be excited to know, okay, when is the workshop? Because both of them are talking about the workshop.
Yes.
So, all of you who would love to be, we would love to see you at the workshop. The workshop is on the 18th of September. And on the 18th of September, both of us, we are having a full day event where we will combine the wisdom of energy and of the Ayurveda and create a full day course for you, which will enable you to understand, just like the title says, food, fasting, and freedom. So, fasting is, of course, one important part of it. But why are we looking at this workshop? To give you freedom from obsessive thinking, to give you freedom from control, to give you freedom from those difficult thoughts which are going on in your head, because we are going to connect all of this. Why are you feeling something, and what is the food you are eating? How is all of it connected? Why
Mm.
are you carrying aches, pains in the body? We will also
Mm.
talk about how to be aware, how to be in complete awareness of your body, how to build a complete, I would say, connect with your body. Then I will also talk about how festivals and the seasons are important for us. How do we make our food regime according to it? I will be talking about the chakras, the energy centers, the emotional aspects of aches, pains, diseases. I will also be talking about, we will be also doing some meditations. I'm sure that's going to
Yes.
be some fun, which we both are looking forward to.
Yes.
Chants, meditations, guided meditations. In the awareness and body part, we will also talk about how your body awareness will help you to understand what kinds of food will
Mm.
make sense to you. And of course, with
Yes.
Ayurveda, Dhanya will walk you through. So it's more like I will be talking about energy concepts and she'll be talking about the food,
Yeah.
the actual
Yeah.
Ayurvedic. So, we are going
That's
to
right.
blend it together. And let me explain,
And
I think,
we will create a little fasting chart, that a dinacharya that you can follow. And I will give you, as we're talking about energy, we'll talk a little bit
yeah,
about how you can strengthen your digestion by using fasting in a healthy way and in a balanced
yes,
way, and
yes,
how you can fast without worrying about food. So you can do a fast that has nothing to do with food. And we'll talk about all the many ways that we can reduce
you
our
can
energy
fast.
output that has nothing to do with food either.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yes,
So
we
this
both
is
will be sharing
sorry.
our
Someone's
journey.
asked. Someone's
A
asked
question.
here. Yeah. Someone's asked if it's going to be online. So this is a in-person event in Mumbai. And
Yes,
we will come back to you. We're booking the venue. We've got two
we are
really
booking the
great
venue.
options. So as soon as we've booked the venue and we've got our options set up, we will come back to you. But please get in touch with us if you are interested in the workshop, and we will add you to the mailing list so you'll be the first to know when we have all the details finalized. Anything you want to add,
Absolutely.
Ashwini?
Yes. So one more thing which I wanted to add is me and Dhanya will also be having more lives or more.
Yes,
Keep watching
that's
our
right.
social
Yeah,
media feeds. We will be sharing more. We will be talking more. So I will also be having. So individually, we both will be having more lives too, so that you could know more. You could connect to us. You could ask questions, and I believe that this workshop is something which just like you said, I think it's a gift because we are blending the different
yeah.
concepts which we've learned and experienced. I always say this to my clients: I won't recommend something to you unless I have tried on me and
Me
it has
too.
worked on
Me too. I only speak from my own personal
me.
experience
Yes.
on top of what I have studied. Yeah,
Yes, yes. And of course, the studies and the work we've done, it does
yeah,
work. Of course, the case studies with
yeah,
when we work with clients, it all works. But the most
yeah.
important part
Personal
is,
experience.
yes, the personal experience,
Absolutely.
because I have used things which I will be sharing. She has used,
Mm.
and we will be sharing that. So it comes from a personal experience, and I think this
Yes.
will be something which will blend a lot of things. And Danya, I used to always wonder that because I work a lot with energy. When you blend energy with Ayurveda, with
Yeah.
because Ayurveda is beautiful. The wisdom of I'm quite impressed. I'm a student of Ayurveda. I can say
Mm.
I'm an ever going student, ever student of everything which is
Yes, me
holistic.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
Me
So
too.
I always
Always
tell this
learning.
to, yes, I tell my students that, okay, just like I'm a teacher, I'm also a student. And
Yes.
I'm sure there is so much which I would love to learn. But you're on for this workshop. Please um, stay in touch with us.
Mm.
You could follow our pages. So Dhanya's page is Prana with
Prana
Dhanya, right?
Ayurveda. Yep.
Prana Ayurveda. Okay, Prana Ayurveda, and my
Yep.
page is it's with my name Ashwini Chube, and also Unicorn Insight. Um, Also, you could follow us on Insta, our Insta feeds,
Yep.
and I know so many of us who are watching me on this YouTube channel. You could also get in touch on email. So, Dhanya, maybe I can give my email ID now and we
Yep.
can put things together. So,
Sure.
inbox.unicorninsight@gmail.com is my mailbox. So, we will get in touch with you as soon as we can once we hear from you. Um, and yeah, I'm sure we have a lot to give
Yeah,
and
we're going to have a lot to share. Yeah,
we have
that's
a lot
right.
to share.
And it's always so nice to see people in person. So if you have any specific health issues, digestive issues, fasting issues, you can always get in touch with us, ask your
Yeah.
questions. We are still. I'm always. I have a very flexible workshop content. So if there are specific
Yeah.
questions you want answered, we can always address them in the workshop. If there are topics you'd like to cover, we're always interested in what you are looking for. What are people wanting? What is the Because I do a quick Google in terms of what is the latest fasting trend, but you are the best
Yeah.
source of information to tell us what is needed out there in the world, and we are only here to help.
And also, I think post for so many people who may not be in Mumbai and who would love to do something like this. So, yes, we are coming up with something online too.
Yes.
But for now, we have this in person program, and I'm sure everyone who is from Mumbai would love to experience this different kind. And post this workshop, you could also connect with either of us, with Dhanya for Ayurveda nutrition, food related, Ayurveda related. If you're looking for sessions, in my case, you could look for Reiki, access consciousness, access bars, access body processes, or you could combine both. So it's because our
Hmm.
services complement each other, so
Yeah.
you could combine both of them and go more towards a holistic life.
Yes, that's right. If there's one thing I hope you've taken out of our session today, it's that you are more than your body, and that everything that we do is actually a form of energy management, and that is a good life, a life that is enjoyable, in which you can thrive and you can achieve your goals, is a life where you have managed and optimized your energy. the quality of your energy matters. And please make sure that there is a little bit left over for you every single day. All right.
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. So thank you everyone, all of you who joined, all the comments. I'm just going through the comments because okay, lovely comments. Thank you all of you. If you still have any questions, you could even post it later. It will stay here
Mm.
um, on the feed on Facebook as well as on YouTube, and you could get in touch with us separately for more questions. And I
Yep.
think that should be it.
Yep. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We look forward to seeing you in Mumbai. I'm flying tomorrow, so I'm very excited to be there.
Yay.
Yeah, and we hope to see you soon. And I'll see you. I'll see you in a couple of days, Ashwini.
Yes, and
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to see you all too. So all people from Mumbai, all my clients who are watching this would really love to see you here, especially a lot of people who have been doing online sessions with me.
Mm,
I would say come and join in this in-person workshop. We'll
yeah.
definitely take back a lot. So
Yeah, that's right. We will share our energy together in a face to face. That is the best thing that we will enjoy there. All right. Good night, everybody.
good night. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.